So hello, my name is Blaze, and this is the introduction to relational practice. We have two people live with us here today, Kristen and Laura, and they will be our participants who we'll be relating to. You have to have other people to relate to if you're going to do a relational practice. So we're going to be demonstrating and exploring the potential of relating. And relational practice is particularly important to me because I have leaned on it heavily for many, many years. Starting when I was in a treatment center for addiction, the primary method of treating addicts is to relate, is to share their experience. One way that addiction was described to me as is a kind of disconnection of our own personal truth from the world. And because we are managing our reality, because we can't share it with anyone, we are basically lying to the world all the time. And to do this, we have all kinds of strategies, whether they're gambling or drugs or whatever, that help us to manage this interface between our private, personal world, the way we really think and feel, and what's going on the outside. And the more that I have to manage that, the more those two realities get, they're different, the worse, the more sick that we become. And that's what it was like for me. So relational practice was prescribed to me as a way to bring my inner reality and my outer reality into balance. And that's what we're going to be looking at, is this capacity to bring our inner world and our outer world into balance. So this is the first time I've created this as an introductory event. I've been teaching and supporting relational practice for some time now. But today I have the opportunity of giving a broad picture of how it is that we do this and what the benefits are and what I'm offering to those who are interested in learning more. I began teaching and creating content by teaching the process, which can be thought of as an individual experience like meditation, basic laws of how our experience works and moves, and how we can be with ourselves. And relational practice is an extension of that. So to participate relationally, we're going to have to become fluent with being with ourselves. That is the foundational skill of being in relationship, is to be with ourselves. But rather than mastering being with ourselves and then moving into relationship, we will always be moving back and forth between our own personal process and our experience of relationship. And the idea would be that those would fit together well. That what we do when we are meditating or when we are with ourselves, that skill set and the development that comes from it would translate to how we show up in the world relationally. And conversely, our relational experiences would translate into how we are with ourselves. Now, as I went through treatment, I eventually stopped using the modalities of 12-step programs in addiction altogether, and I got really involved in meditation and therapy. And what I have found is they don't always translate. They don't always share the same orientation. They all aren't necessarily a perfect fit. Most of the time, when we're taught about meditation, as I have been, when you attend a meditation retreat, relating is not part of the curriculum. You spend a lot of time sitting still with your eyes closed. And conversely, I'm trained as a somatic therapist, which is, even somatic therapy is very body-based, but I was not trained specifically about meditation or how to be with oneself or any of the elements of self-inquiry, which I now teach. So my mission is to bring these two worlds together so that our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with others or the world fit perfectly together because I believe they do. It's become very natural for me. So as I've said, relationship starts with our relationship with ourselves. So we are going to do an introductory meditation. If you have never heard me speak any of these words before, there's lots of content that I've created around the process, whether it's the free meditations on my website or the introductory or introduction to the process, free events that I host monthly. But we'll see how natural this is for you, the listener. Of course, I know that Laura and Kristen have lots of experience with this, with me. And so we can move quickly through a little meditation and then look at specifically at how relationship can support our relationship with ourselves. So to begin, I close my eyes. And what that does is it lowers the amount of information that I have to process. No notifications from my phone or computer come into my vision. I don't have to interpret the look on your face. I'm more insulated from the world. There's less information. And this helps me to focus on my body, which is very, very important. And we can begin our meditation by focusing on our body. I can feel my body as a separate physical object. My body has a boundary. There's an inside and an outside. And I just take a moment to feel how my body feels. I can scan through my experience of my body and just discover how I feel physically. Again, I'll notice where my feet are on the ground, where I'm sitting in my chair, the way my hands feel, the movement of my breath. And very gently, I shift my focus from what I track physically to the experience of aliveness or flow or energy. And to do this, we just relax our focus on our body. We tune in more to the subtle qualities. And as I relax my focus into the energy of my body, the aliveness, the boundary of my body becomes less clear. Physically, my body has a very hard boundary. There's a very clear point at which I end. But as energy, my boundary is much less clear. I just take some time to be with the energy of my body. And part of this energy is the experience of emotion. So within my body, I check to see, how do I feel emotionally right now? And from one more shift in focus, I see how I experience my mental world, my stream of thoughts and any mental energy that I may feel throughout my body. And so I take a moment to notice that I have a physical, energetic, emotional, and mental experience. And all of these layers or elements of my body are happening at the same time. And so later, when we're relating, when we are sharing what it's like for us, it's very important that we have this whole spectrum of experience to draw from. We can talk about our thoughts and how we feel physically, but also the subtle experience of how we are emotionally and energetically. Before we go to do so, I notice one more thing, that this whole spectrum of my body exists within the experience of being aware. Just as I can shift my focus to my thoughts or my feelings, I can shift my focus to the experience of being aware. And awareness has very unique properties, very important properties for us to discover and experience. And these qualities and these properties are different than anything we experience in our physical, emotional, energetic, or mental self. Because awareness is a space. It's an awake space. And because you are the one that is aware, this awake space is you. These are qualities of you. Now, as we sit here introspecting, being with ourselves, we can notice something very important. That this space of awareness that is you cannot stop anything from happening. It is pure acceptance. This empty space of awareness is not moving. And everything that we are aware of, our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, our physical and energetic experience, all of this is moving. And as I notice this, I realize I am accepting what is happening. That's the nature of yourself. That's the nature of experience itself. It doesn't really matter what you think or feel or how The energy of your body reacts to what's happening or what you express, no matter what it is. Awareness, which is you, is not reacting to it. You cannot react to it. And as I teach in the process, this is how you have an unconditionally accepting relationship with yourself. It's not an attitude. It's not a mindset. It's not an emotional state. It's just the way it is. It's always that way. You can't stop your thoughts. You can't stop your feelings. There is only this pure acceptance. And what this means is that we can embrace everything that's happening naturally. Life is the embrace of everything that's happening. You are the embrace of everything that's happening. Of course, that embrace often includes thinking negatively about things, feeling pain, experiencing things that we find ourselves not liking mentally, emotionally, or contracting about. Nevertheless, awareness allows that to happen. And as I teach in the process, the movement where everything wants to go is where you want to go. Everything that you want in your life, whether it's better relationships or more positive emotional states or your best self, all of these things can be accomplished simply by allowing life to happen. That's where everything wants to move to. That's my experience, and I invite people to find out for themselves if that's true by resting into awareness and watching what happens. Traditionally, in meditative traditions, the doing of this means spending long hours in solitude, means spending many hours meditating by yourself. And the challenge that I see for meditators is that the world doesn't tend to function like this. Relationships don't function at this level. They don't function, in my experience, at the level of witnessing and allowing the naked truth of what we're experiencing in our body. See, awareness can be with everything about ourselves. At least we can learn for this to be true. That doesn't mean that other people will stay with us in the raw, naked truth of what we're experiencing, or that we will know how to communicate it, or that our past experience of relationship won't confuse our ability to communicate what's happening for us now. So our mission today is to discover how relationship can be a place that supports and actually even empowers this natural process of consciousness to happen. So in a minute, I'm going to ask for some participation. I've made a lot of claims that we're going to have to test. We can start by just taking a moment to feel ourselves physically, energetically, emotionally, and mentally. And we just want to ask our body, what has your experience of relationship been? How has it felt for your body to relate, to be connected, to express and be seen in this world. What have you experienced up until now? And this answer may come in thoughts or images, but also in the raw emotion, energy, and physical expression. Whatever we feel is our living answer.
There's been two opposite experiences. When you ask the question, what did your body experience? I felt contracting my body, or contraction in my body, and there were no images, or pictures in my head, but just memories that relationships, or relating to other people can be very difficult and overwhelming as well. And then you said something else, and I remember that it can also feel very good to be connected with people, warm and easy, and being held, or being held, I think it's English. So yeah, that's my answer.
That's beautiful. And it's very important that for me, I just point out, sometimes relationship works and it feels really good, and sometimes it doesn't, and it doesn't feel really good. And when it doesn't feel really good, you notice yourself contracting, and it's really healthy to notice this. We just let ourselves notice the experience of contraction. And I'm happy to feel that too. It's part of life. So we can shut down, or we can suppress our energy, we can freeze, or also we can leave our body experience. These are all ways that we manage the overwhelming, often challenging or confusing experience of relating when it doesn't work.
Yes. What comes to my mind is that it doesn't matter which experience of the two you just described in general. It comes very fast, and it feels more as if the one thing or the other thing is happening to me. But I know somehow that I also have control, or have influence in whatever direction. But yeah, that just came to mind.
Happens very fast. That's very important. That's a key element in our practice. Life happens very fast. And especially, as you will know from all of your experience in life, we will all know that the difficult elements of relationship often feel like they have a life of their own, like they take over, like they happen very quickly. In the modality of trauma therapy that I'm trained in, one description of trauma is too much, too soon, too fast. And so the way that our bodies learn to deal with experiences that are overwhelming, or too much, too soon, too fast, is to move very quickly, to be very reactive. And so our world is an expression of that trauma, of that reactivity. And so there are many relational experiences where they seem to get out of control very quickly, and we don't know why we ended up where we are. And of course, also, there are relational experiences that work, that feel good, where we do feel safe, where we do feel connected. And it's very important to notice, to remember, to feel how that is also true. So as I sit here facilitating or teaching or creating my practice community and my world of the teachings and practices that I am giving to this world, my question is, how do I take the unconditional, forever moving, no resistance reality of consciousness, and how do I have us experience that as often as possible so we can have as much movement and change as possible? And the problem is, one of the problems is that I'm solving with this, is that relationship is not, we don't experience relationship as an unconditional transformative flow where everything that we feel is accepted. That's not our experience. Sometimes it feels like that, and often it doesn't. And this is especially true if we're relating to someone who cannot receive what we are expressing because of their own trauma, because of their own life experiences. So in therapy, if I say something to you, even in my family or my relationship, some of the things that are happening for me will trigger you. We all know what it's like to be triggered ourselves, but also to have someone else be triggered. And when we are triggered, what that means is that something in us that isn't moving becomes activated. And that means that I'm not as available to you. I'm not able to actually receive what you are communicating. And this is where relationship breaks down. So where I would suggest is where relationship feels very good is in all the places where we're not triggered. And where relationship doesn't feel very good is in the places where the person who's expressing is working through something that has triggered them, and where the person they're speaking with, relating with, either gets triggered or can't feel that part of themselves. And so what this means is that the most challenging parts of the human experience are the places where relationship is the least available. So that this flow of transformation can happen in the places really that are easy and available, but the more we move towards our trauma, the less available relationship is for transformation. And this is why culturally, right now, we have special people called therapists that we have to go and see when we want to talk about the pain and challenges that we carry, because our culture is not set up, it doesn't have the capacity to meet us in these places. So there are special people who have special jobs who we pay money to. I guess you'd say I'm one of them. And these people are trained and have expertise and experience, and they can help us meet the parts of ourselves that we can't meet ourselves and that our world can't meet in ourselves. And this is wonderful. But maybe we spend an hour in therapy every week if we're fortunate, if we have the money for it and if we have the time for that, and that's wonderful. But there's more trauma in the world and in ourselves than 1 hour a week with a therapist can solve or heal. So the question is, how, as a culture, as a civilization, can we be active in this process of transformation the most? How can we have this most productive flow of experience possible? And again, one of the options is to leave the world and to sit in a cave or to spend much of your life meditating so you can stay in this flow. But if you have children or a job, you will find that that's not particularly practical. Nor may it even be optimal or desirable, or certainly not your particular life path. Again, the point of what we're doing is to bring as much capacity and transformation to our relational experience as we possibly can. So what this means is that the individuals in this world are going to have to be much more fluent in themselves and much more capable of relating with others. There's capacity to relate that we have previously given just to therapists is going to have to expand and deepen so that each of us can experience as much transformation as possible, as often as possible. So today we're going to look at how we can participate in that, both for ourselves, but also for our world. Because there are many people who need to be seen by us as well, from our children to our neighbors to clients that we have. So we're going to come back to this meditation because it's essential to the experience of relating. So I can feel my body again, physically, energetically, emotionally, mentally. And the reason I can do this is because I'm aware. And if I'm feeling something that's happening inside my body, there is awareness inside my body. Or you could say, I am inside my body. Awareness could be described as the felt sense of I am. I am inside my body. There is awareness inside my body. We are here together. And my question is, does the awareness that's inside your body know that I am here and there's awareness inside my body? And we just see what your answer is. What does it feel like? What does your awareness and body tell you when I invite you to see? That's an open question to the now three of you.
As you say that, Blaze, there's practicing also feeling 3 other bodies. That was what I was feeling into each of us. And it's easier to feel it with Liz because I can feel her body right next to my body right now. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting. And then there's a little bit of, and maybe it's easier to just do one at a time to start with, because I feel a little like I feel fluctuation in if I'm feeling each of us, like into each of you at the same time.
Right, there's lots to explore here. But my first question is, what does connection feel like to you? And what effect does it have on your body?
It feels like a solidifying, like it's a different kind of rootedness, because it's not just rootedness within just this body, but there's a sense of in connection, rootedness. And so it brings a different stability.
Wonderful. And so as we feel connected, it could also be easily said that we are meditating. This isn't very different from where we started with a meditation, with being with ourselves. We haven't had to give up our meditation to find connection. Does that feel true? In fact, as you say, again, it's an extension or a deepening of the meditative experience. So now we get to eat, we get to, I think I'd not forget that line. I've heard it 1,000 times. We get to have our cake and eat it too. That's what I'm going to say. We get to be with ourselves and we get to have the feeling of connection. We get to be present, awake to our experience, but we also get to be related. So I just leave it to the group for a while. I've done a lot of speaking. What does connection feel like to you? And what do you notice? Does this feel like we're doing two things at once, or is it different? Is it hard to rest into any of these aspects? What are you noticing?
At first, it felt a bit, it's like changing the radio station. Like, first focus was more on me and at me. And when you ask, how does it feel to be with all of you? It took a while until I could switch, but then it's very easy, like to know and to feel that you are there, you and Laura and the friend of Laura. Hi. And it feels very stable, solid, and good as well.
Wonderful. And so as we sit in this place that's stable and good, where connection feels present, that we can feel that we're here together, what we can notice is everything in our body is still moving. We haven't had to leave our body to talk about stuff. We're still in this transformative or meditative state where our sensations are moving through our awareness. Our emotions are present and moving through our awareness. Our mental energy is moving through our awareness. So transformation, or this movement that I call the process, is happening. And what that means is, rather than leaving our bodies to talk about concepts or ideas or what we want to have happen, our relationship can be based on what we're experiencing in this flow through our bodies. Which means that the focus of our relationship can be on what's really happening right now. So my question would be to all of you, what do you notice happening right now? And rather than listing off everything, what I would invite is that you get to talk about the things that interest you, that catch your attention, that feel important, that you're drawn to, that you want to either work on or explore, or that challenge you, or that you're excited about. And you'll feel those things. It's not a memory. You're not remembering something that excited you yesterday. It will arise naturally now, whatever it is. could be something that happened yesterday, but you will feel it now. So to the three of you, I just invite, what are you noticing now that we can talk about, that we can relate about, that's actually alive for you now?
One of the things I notice is how things get quiet and more still and settled. That's how it feels right now in me. And then I'm curious too, you know, as Laura was saying, I'm sitting right next to her. So there's the feeling of her right next to me. And then similar to, I want to say Kirsten, is that right? Kristen, you, one of those, is like that change of the radio station. So I was aware of like, oh yeah, I feel her, but then feeling into all of us, that has a different texture, a different feeling, and kind of how there are these different layers depending on where you get attuned. And that right now, as I'm here with all of you in this space, it feels really easy. And there's a lot of curiosity about that layering. And I'm aware that there are other times when my mind is busy or I'm doing something in the world that I may not have that. So it makes me curious about how I can be, you know, sort of, it feels almost like entrainment, you know, where it's like I'm trained, and then, you know, and then how that can shift to be different.
And what's wonderful, we described before, is that we're going slowly. Mm-hmm. That our relationship, because it's based on our awareness, tends to slow us down. And if I just ask you, how fast is your awareness going right now, Liz? What would you say?
Not very fast.
Wonderful. So I am aware and you are aware. And just by the nature of this, by the fact that we are both aware, we are both slowing down. And because we're connected, because we feel connected, we can now meet and talk and explore and be curious in this place that's so much slower. And this is inherently interesting, and there's lots of curiosity, but this is especially useful for transforming the parts of ourselves that go really quickly, that are responses to the trauma from the past, that are reactive, where it just feels like something's happening to us when we get in an argument and it gets out of hand and we don't even remember what was essential about the argument in the first place. We're just thinking about and in sort of a loop. So we can be curious about many things. One that's very useful is the things in our life which we don't feel like we have control over, that just kind of spiral out of hand. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're still just being with ourselves. We're still just in this meditative state. All the things that we would hope for from a good experience of meditating are happening now. So again, I just leave it open to see what else we notice.
I was asking myself, like, you know, how can I come back to this space, or to this place where I'm at right now? This, you just described it, you know, meditative state, even though I'm not sitting still and having closed my eyes, but it still feels as if I'm in a meditative state, because I'm open, I'm slow, I'm patient, you know, and and it's still a question, but there also came some words kind of as an answer, because this state now feels like home, like being where I'm supposed to be. There, you know, I couldn't feel of any other place to go to, or where I couldn't think of any other place. And so my mind sent me the words, just find a way how you can come home no matter what the situation is, because it doesn't matter if you are if you left home, you can always come back.
Yes. Now we're going to try two things. First, I'm going to relate to you in a way that often happens in culture. So that's what you say. And then what I say back is, oh, let me tell you about this time that I went to Bali. I was on a retreat. I sat in meditation for 7 hours every day. They had a pool, had beautiful sunsets, and I felt like that a lot too. And just see, how does that feel? I'm just sharing some thoughts and memories that I have that aren't particularly connected to what you are experiencing. Does that help you stay in your home?
No, it feels as if we're disconnected, because you know, you went somewhere,
Right.
but you didn't stay in the
Right.
space we just shared.
But I thought I was helping you. Bali was such a wonderful experience, blah, 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 on it goes. So that's one way in which people relate, through ideas and concepts and memories in the past. I'll do it a different way, the way that we're learning to relate. So the first thing is, for me, just like Liz says, as I go slow, I become very curious. My whole body, I can feel this curiosity. And I hear you say, how can I stay here more? It feels like home. And rather than think about this, I just feel what you're saying. I feel the words. Which means that as I'm listening to you, I'm just tracking what's happening in the sensations and energy and emotion of my body, also my thoughts as well, but not exclusively. And my question is, what does it feel like in your body to want to be at home? What does that feel like to you? What are your sensations and emotions to want to find a way to be at home?
Different things happen, because one thing is that a twirling, or you know, something like this happens in my body. So it's going from calm to being a bit stressed, and like, you know, wants to move and do things.
Right.
Because I need to find a way how I can come back again and again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know I don't need to do anything. So yeah, these two things happened almost at once. So
Right. It's wonderful. And my job in relating to you is to help the flow of transformation. And I believe and feel implicitly that this movement of energy that you describe is transformation. And this movement is the direction. It's moving towards you being at home more. So what I do is I just feel it with you, and I help us both stay in this focus where we can witness and allow, through our awareness, this experience. And I notice I feel energy bubbling up in my arms and in my chest and in my throat and in my face, almost like you know, like a bubbling or an aliveness that's rising in my body. Is it like that for you too?
yes. Yes.
So wonderful. And together we can just give permission for this energy to move and see what happens. So I'm aware, and awareness is not resisting what's happening in my body. And you're aware, and awareness is not resisting what's happening in your body. And we just stay here and see, where does this energy go when we just notice that it's passing through our awareness.
Joy is coming, and also calmness again. So it's a bit like a curious and joyful not expectation, but like as if I'm expecting, you know, I can sit here and wait, and at the same time I'm ready and open and looking forward whatever comes my way and whatever happens here, or like it's yeah, being calm and also a little bit of movement at the same time. So.
I feel joy. I feel curiosity when you say that. It feels like that for me too. And I notice that when your words match up with what I experience in my body, it's very easy for me to stay here with you. So when you describe your felt sense, it's very easy for me to stay related to you. You know, just like I talked about Bali, you're not talking about something other than what's happening for you. So it's really easy for me to stay connected and focused on you. And what I notice, my addition is, when you describe this, it reminds me of the purity of a child. I feel innocent and pure and good. The curiosity that is innate from being a child. That's what it feels like to me. Does it feel like that to you?
Yes, and first my 11-year-old son came to my mind when you talked about purity, because that's how I receive him, or how it feels for me to be with him. And even through all the fights we had and the conflicts and everything, this is something which surprises me again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can have a very big fight, and I don't know, half an hour later, you know, he's just like very pure and innocent and talking in this high voice again, and showing me something, and it's impressive and surprising, and it makes me laugh even more, and you know, it's yeah, and it's like you said, it feels like this.
And you have that too. That quality that you notice, you have that too.
Yes, but it feels as if very often I forget about it.
Right. And I just invite us both to feel that. Very often it feels like you forget about that. And you just feel that too. What do you notice happen in your body and in your energy when you say that?
Well, sadness is like a little sadness is coming, and I also notice that the mind, who's the advisor in us, like everybody I think has an advisor, but my advisor says, yes, it's like this. You forget sometimes, you know, the advisor who tries to solve problems, because this is a problem that sometimes I can't be in this pure state or be in this meditative state and be all the nice qualities. And the advisor says, okay, just keep doing like these things and try. You can come back anytime.
Right. And so you have within yourself a relationship between your thoughts, your advisor, and this state of joy, which also is now expressing sadness. And I act as a third party. I'm also here. And my experience is that when I feel this sadness, it also feels very natural and joyous. And I want to stay here. I point to my heart. I notice that I want to stay in my heart. And I just let the advisor and the thoughts that you say go. And I am happy to just meet you and stay heart to heart in this place where we both care and feel. And we just notice what happens now.
Well, I still didn't want to leave the joyous state, but I can make room for the sadness. And when I accept that sadness is also there or is here now, I get spacious again, inside and outside. And you probably would say it's moving.
Right. And as it moves, again, as we can tolerate this sadness, as there's enough space for it, what I notice is that you care. The reason that you're sad is because you care. Do you recognize that?
Yes. Oh, the thought is gone. I think I wanted to say something like everything which I perceive or feel or can, notice in consciousness has a right to be there or has a reason to be there. And it doesn't really matter what it is, if it's joy or if it's sadness. It's equal, and everything, yeah. So yeah, it's all right.
Wonderful. So again, we have right now that there is your body and all this energy and emotion and thought that's happening, and there's awareness. And awareness isn't moving away from anything. It doesn't need to. It's just aware. And I'm not moving away from anything. We're still just meditating. But as we name and relate to everything that's arising, what I would say we've done, other than just meditate and practice our relating, is we have helped you to stay in yourself so you can relate more to your son. Because that's important.
Oh, yeah.
And the hope would be that if you can stay and relate more to your son, then he can stay in himself too. And more with innate joy and whatever else he's experiencing.
It's interesting because one thing I wanted to say is it's magic or magical, like, by you staying with me, that because I can feel that this is true, that it will help me to stay with my son. And yeah, the two things, it's magical because my mind doesn't understand and it doesn't need to. because another part of me knows it's true what you just said. I can feel it.
Well, I'm really grateful that instead of you taking my advice and you going to Bali or me telling you more about my experience, that we stayed with this. I feel really grateful that our relational experience could be productive and transformative now, that I don't take you away from that with my thoughts and opinions about what you should do, but rather just relate to what's actually happening for you. And by staying with what's actually happening for you, it moves. Again, the process is everything moves through awareness. Everything that moves is good. As you say, it has a right to exist. But more importantly, it knows exactly where to go. It's going somewhere that's good. That's what transformation is. It's relaxing into the flow of our experience because it's going somewhere good. So when I'm able to stay with you, magic happens because we don't interrupt the natural flow of what's happening for you, which is intelligent, which knows more than we can know. And that is what relating is. And we're still just meditating. We're still just being with ourselves. There still is just this witnessing of experience. We're just sharing in that.
Okay, I want to change places because
Sure, we'll take a
getting
pause.
dark.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
going into that. That's a really beautiful example.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Liz and Laura, how does this feel? What happens for you when you stay in yourselves and stay relating to us as we exchange this?
There's a lovely experience of us, like us that could hold anything and could be with anything. And the parts that are really touching me right now are knowing that no aspect needs to be denied, like this deeper and deeper welcome that everything is invited and okay and included feels very safe. From the very beginning or early on, when you ask, like, just ask your body what is happening with it right now, and it felt so lovely to think, oh, there's space to ask and to notice, and that sense of safety and willingness to feel seen and feeling seen, and really like kind of layers of gratitude and ease open as there's like further and deeper acknowledgement that nothing has to be left out or isn't welcomed.
Absolutely. And this goes as far as to feeling that everything that we would think, do I leave this out or do I include it? We come to realize that all our feelings, the purpose of them is to be expressed and received relationally. That's why we have feelings. That's why we have sensations. But when they're chronically not received, we sort of forget that. We think that they're good things and bad things. But the deeper we go into this, we realize there aren't. There's only expressed emotion that transforms, or repressed or unconscious emotion that doesn't transform. Those are the two states. Something is either moving or it's not moving. And all the things that we don't like about ourselves or the world are things that aren't moving. All the things that feel good and create connection and are transformative are just things that are moving. And again, we can do that in ourselves, but each time we do it together, it has a compounding effect. And as Kristen noticed, I can be helpful in keeping her in the things that she mentally might not normally orient to stay in. And that's very useful. My curiosity and your curiosity can help us stay in the parts of ourselves which we don't yet know are good, which means that we can have transformation in things about ourselves that confuse us or trouble us, that are painful for us. We don't need to go away from them because they're relationships that actually can help us orient towards them. We can feel that because I want to be there with you. And as we stay together, magic happens. And that realization that you're describing comes out of that. Oh, wait, is it really as simple that everything is good and everything actually has the potential to transform my life, not just the things that I like and that my world has seen and received about me, everything? And Liz, do you want anything to add before I speak more?
I don't think so.
What I would add is that all four of us have children. I know this because I know all of you. And when you describe your challenge being a parent, I also have the opportunity of feeling what is it like for me to relate to the purity and the aliveness, the dynamic emotional quality of my children. Which means that what you are noticing in yourself can trigger me. But instead of me leaving what's triggering me to talk and think or distract myself or do something else that triggers me in a positive state, I can notice that I care too. And I'm challenged to meet the intensity of my child. And in this place where we are going slow and we are connected, I get to speak about that. But what arises for me more than the challenge is just the fact that we care, that we recognize, I recognize the purity of children and others, you included, all beings, and I want to be able to meet you. I want to be available. That's implicit in my experience of myself. So as I described, this kind of experience traditionally happens either through deep meditative practice or by going and seeing a therapist. Most of the time, most of the world is not doing one of those two things or both. Most of the time we are with our children, we're with our families, we're at work, we're taking a bike ride, we're doing whatever it is that we do. Most of the time people are not engaged in spiritual practice or in therapy, if you want to call it that. And our world is a product of that. Our world is a product that we are not experiencing constant transformation, that everything is not included. And the question is, this experience, which is so nourishing and innate for me, which feels like home, how do I help all beings to know that this state exists? And how do I help the world become manifest as a community, as an organism that is constantly evoking the best out of all of us? It is consistently transformative. And the answer is that I have to go first. I have to find a way to be a leader in that, which means that I have to find a way to transform myself personally through my own personal practice, but also through relationship. I have to make myself available. And to do this, I'm not going to leave my culture and go and sit in a cave. I have to do that while I'm participating, while I'm still a parent, while I still have a job, while I'm still working in culture, in the world that we're in, when I'm going to be relating to people who may not be able to meet me in the things that are arising for me, while I live in a house with people who may not even know that they don't live in their bodies, may not know what awareness is. How do I stay in the life that I have and access radical transformation? And my answer is that we need to create a network of people who are learning this, and I need to augment my ordinary life and my personal practice with as many transformative experiences that help me to deepen my relationship with myself and deepen my relationship with others. Into those practices, I can explore both what's arising now, but also all the things in my life that feel like too much, too soon, too fast. All the arguments I get in, or the moments that I feel disconnected, all the things that aren't working with as a parent, as a provider, as a creator, as all the elements of my life, which it just feels like something is happening to me and I don't quite know how to change it. And so there is a place, there are places in the world and where I can take this experience that I have of myself so that I can process it and so that it can move and transform. And then I take that level of transformation and I apply it to my life in the world. I apply it to my relationships. I apply it to my work. I apply it to being a parent. And as I go and apply it, more comes up for me. Often too much, too soon, too fast. So I take it to relationship. I take it to a place that can help me allow it to move. And on it goes until more and more this process of transformation happens continuously in my life so that I can use every moment of my life to witness and allow movement. The more that we can witness and allow movement, the more that I can witness and allow movement. And that's my vision for my work in the world, is that that's what we are going to do. We are going to create as much transformation personally and apply that transformation as skillfully as possible relationally, so that the world can know that there is a felt sense of home, that there is connection, and that their life challenges are essentially good, that their life challenges are here to be transformed so they can express goodness, that there are no real problems. There's only energy that wants to move. It isn't moving yet. So my offering today, the application, the call to action is not as clear as it often is. I work with people one-on-one. I think everyone here I work with one-on-one. And I have in the past formed groups that meet around relationship, that support relationship. I don't know how many people today specifically will want to be part of a group, but I have a lot of people in my world who want to practice. They may not be here today, but I have a lot of people in my world that want to practice, who can feel this and who want to deepen into it. So if you are interested, contact me and we will find a way to bring you into our community at an appropriate level in an appropriate way so that you can find a way to make every experience be a path back to yourself. I'll send out an email with the recording as well as a call to action for meeting with me about this further. But for now, I just start as I began. I just notice, we've been here for almost 90 minutes. How do I feel physically, energetically, emotionally, mentally? What has this inspired in me? What challenges has it evoked? And I just feel them. Whatever I notice in my body is just something that I'm aware of. There is awareness. And awareness is not resisting anything that is happening. It can't. It's just empty space of awareness. And so by feeling my experience here now and today, I'm moving closer to what it is that I want. That movement is taking me towards where it is that I want to go. And the opportunity is that we can continue to meet and talk about this movement as a way of encouraging it and deepening it, spreading it through our whole being. As I go, I just see again, I ask my body and the awareness that's present inside my body, can I feel that you are here, that we are here together? Bye for now.